Hello students, welcome to the discussion of the MCQs of cardiovascular system part 2. So if we consider the first question, a term child born at 37-week gestation to a mother with poorly controlled insulin dependent diabetes. Baby was antenatally diagnosed as a case of TGA, that is the transposition of the great arteries. Which of the following actions should not be done within the first 1 hour of birth? Now you consider here mother is having a case of the diabetes, then that too poorly controlled, and the child is having the antenatally diagnosed TGA. So what we basically need to do is, mother is having the diabetes, so at birth you will always go for the serum calcium and blood glucose level. This is the two things which you will definitely go, because in an infant of diabetic mother there can be hypoglycemia and hypocalcemia, and both are the causes of the seizures. So therefore this is definitely done. Now we perform an arterial blood gas measurement. In a case of TGA, the mixing of the blood can be at 3 levels, either ductus arteriosus, either at the ASD or patent foramen ovale, and third is the VSD. Now if it is a case of TGA with ductus arteriosus mixing, there will be very less of blood which will be coming to the aorta. So there will be presence of acidosis. So it is absolutely right that we perform an arterial blood gas measurement. Do we start prostaglandin E1 infusion? Yes. You want to keep the ductus open, because if the ductus is open, at least more blood will be going to the aorta. So therefore you want to keep the ductus open. Chest X-ray to be done. There is no urgency for the chest X-ray in a case of TGA at birth. Diagnosis will be confirmed by echocardiography, and if it is a case of TGA, you need to do the balloon atrial septostomy at birth. So out of these 4, what is actually can be delayed is the chest X-ray. So that is the right answer, and that should not be done ideally within 1 hour of the birth. There is no urgency. Question number 2, all are true about the DTGA. Now this is basically dextro post transposition of great arteries. Now what is seen here is, if you see here particularly, right atria, it opens into right ventricle from which aorta is attached. Left atria opens into left ventricle to which pulmonary artery is attached. Right? Now this right atria receives the systemic blood, from the systemic circulation, and the aorta supplies the blood to the systemic circulation. Left atria receives the blood from the lungs, and the pulmonary artery supplies the blood to the lungs. So if you see in TGA, what is happening is both pulmonary and systemic circulation, they have become parallel to one another. That is one of the questions you get. They both have become parallel to one another. So can there be survival? The survival can only be there if there is mixing of the blood. And this mixing of the blood can be at the level of atria, at the level of ventricle, or at the level of the arterial level. At the atria, it can be ASD or patent foramen ovale. This can be VSD. This can be ductus arteriosus. Right? So now we basically go to the questions. Systemic veins return normally to the right atrium and pulmonary veins return to the left atrium. Yes, absolutely right. This is totally true. Connections between the atria and ventricle are normal. They are normal. Aorta arises from the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery from the left ventricle. Absolutely right. Now what is left is this: aorta is posterior and to the right. No, in this case aorta is anterior and to the right. And sometimes you become confused between the anterior and posterior. What you need to understand is, in a case of TGA, aorta is anterior and the pulmonary artery becomes posterior. So if the pulmonary artery becomes posterior, the P2 component of second heart sound is not audible. The P2 component of the second heart sound is not audible. So what you get is a single second heart sound. What you get is a single second heart sound, one of the important clues given in the exam regarding the TGA, right? So aorta is anterior and the pulmonary artery becomes posterior in the case of the TGA. Question number 3. An infant was diagnosed as having total anomalous pulmonary venous return. That means all the pulmonary veins are opening into the right atria directly or indirectly. The infant presented with severe cyanosis and respiratory distress. Murmurs are not audible. Important clue, murmurs are not audible and the infant fails to respond to mechanical ventilation. This is suggestive of. Now first you should understand why the murmurs are present in the case of TAPVC. Now if you see in a TAPVC, what is happening is basically all of the pulmonary and the systemic veins, they are opening into right atria, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. Normally they open. Along with this, pulmonary vein is also opening, right? So all the blood is there in the right atria. A small amount of blood is going to the left atria. If there is more blood in the right atria, there will be more blood across the tricuspid valve and there will be more blood across the pulmonary valve. So across the tricuspid valve is normal, blood flow is more, a murmur of relative stenosis, you get the murmur of relative tricuspid stenosis. Similarly at pulmonary valve is normal, blood flow is more, you get a murmur of the relative pulmonary stenosis, right? So you get two murmurs. But in this case, the murmurs are not audible. That means pulmonary vein blood is not reaching the heart. Because these murmurs are not due to actual valvular damage, these are due to the increased blood flow. So if pulmonary valve is not reaching the heart, that means it is obstructive type of TAPVC. It is obstructive type of TAPVC. And what is the obstructive type? That is the infracardiac type. So this is most likely suggestive of the infracardiac type of TAPVC. Question number 4. In a child diagnosed as having coarctation of aorta, continuous murmur are heard over the left and the right side of the chest, posteriorly and laterally. This is suggestive of. Now if I draw basically here, I consider like this. This is the heart here and this is, let us suppose, is the coarctation of aorta. If this coarctation of aorta is long standing, what will happen is there will be presence of collateral circulation. From this portion some arteries, they will form a collateral so that the blood can go to the abdomen and the lower limb. And the first collateral is between the internal mammary artery and epigastric artery, which supplies the blood to lower limb. And the second is between the scapular branches of subclavian artery and intercostal artery, which supply blood to the abdomen. And as there is increased blood supply in the intercostal artery, they are normally present along the lower border of the ribs. This leads to the notching of the inferior border of ribs, which is seen in the coarctation of aorta, right? So if you basically see, there is collateral circulation. And due to this collateral circulation, when you will auscultate, there will be continuous murmur which will be heard on the posterior aspect and on the lateral aspect. So the right answer here is the collateral circulation formation. Collateral circulation formation. Increase in the severity of narrowing will affect the ejection systolic murmur, which is heard at the site of coarctation. Presence of hypertension is normally seen, that is already there, right? So the right answer, this is the collateral circulation formation. Question number 5, you see very language being given, but the right answer, that will be a single clue. Child was born at term by spontaneous vaginal delivery, went home at 8 hours of age following a normal neonatal discharge. At 48 hours of age, her mother found her looking pale and was unable to wake her. She was rushed to the emergency department. Breathing was very shallow, skin was cool. That means skin was cool and mottled and she was unresponsive to pain. She is resuscitated, given intravenous fluid and broad spectrum antibiotics. On examination, the only palpable pulse is the right brachial pulse. The only examination, only palpable pulse is the right brachial pulse. Right, that is the single clue which is being given. Rest all is the story which the examiner has made. Right, I again go to the coarctation of aorta. Now, if this is a severe coarctation of aorta, blood will not be going below, and the only palpable pulse will be the right brachial pulse. Right, because till the ductus arteriosus is open, there is enough space here and the blood can go down. But when the ductus arteriosus closes, what will happen? This space will be lost, which was contributed by the ductus arteriosus, and enough blood will not go and the child will go into congestive heart failure, which is the feature which is being given here. So here if you go, the right answer is the coarctation of aorta. And remember, if it is given all pulses are not palpable, right, then the answer goes in favor of hypoplastic left heart syndrome. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome. Right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you so much.